Hey, Pastor Wayne here. Today I want to answer two questions that surface in some of those painful and confusing seasons of life. One is about grief, the other about conflict. If you've ever tried to keep your faith intact while hurting deeply, or struggled to handle conflict without losing peace, this video today is going to be for you. Hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. Let's jump in. The first question, Pastor Wayne, I love God, but I'm grieving a loss and I don't know how to process it spiritually. I still believe, but I hurt. How do I walk with God through grief? Okay, God is the answer. Listen to me. In grief, God is the answer. And grief is not a lack of faith. Grief, that's the cost of love. Scripture never asks us to rush grief or spiritualize pain away. Even Jesus wept, knowing resurrection was coming. Grief becomes heavier when people feel pressure to be strong, to move on quickly, or to trust God harder. But God does not heal what we refuse to acknowledge. Hear that again. And faith doesn't eliminate sorrow, but it can anchor it. You can trust God and still hurt. You can worship and still mourn. You can believe and still ask why. Grief is not something to conquer. It's something to walk through with God beside you. I have lost both parents. I have been through just life situations where grief was there. But God was with me each and every step of the way. And healing does not come by ignoring loss, but by letting God meet you inside of it. And unresolved grief often spills into our relationships, which brings us to the second question. Pastor Wayne, I want to handle conflict in a Christ-like way, but I either avoid it or I explode. How do I can understand that. How do I deal with conflict without guilt, fear, or losing peace? Well, here's something to grab a hold of. Godly conflict is not about avoiding tension. It's stored in trust. It's about stored in truth with love. Avoidance often comes from fear. Explosion, anger, or whatever often comes from a suppressed emotion. But neither leads to peace. Jesus, he modeled something better. Honesty without cruelty, boundaries without bitterness, truth without condemnation. So handling conflict in the godly way means speak truth, calmly, not aggressively. Learn to listen without having to win the argument, and setting boundaries without pushing others. Peace does not come from silence. It comes from alignment. And sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is have a hard conversation with humility and with clarity. If you'll go into every situation with love and integrity, you will win. God doesn't ask you to keep the peace at the cost of your soul. He asks you to walk in truth and walk in love. So if you're grieving and trying to stay grounded in faith, if you're navigating conflict without knowing how to do it properly, it's not that you're failing spiritually, you're learning maturity. And God is near to the brokenhearted. That's His promise. He's present in those hard conversations. So if you need help walking through grief, conflict, or emotional strain, that's exactly what our counseling and coaching's for. Go to PastorWayneSutton.com, scroll down, and sign up for one of our coaching and counseling sessions. Again, that's PastorWayneSutton.com. Thanks for being here. Hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. I know someone needs this, and I'll see you on the next video. God bless.